What's up, guys? It's Dragon. It's time to review possibly the last Rival Blaster ever. Alright guys, so it's no secret that the designers over at the mothership feel like they've rivaled out. They've done everything that they could possibly do in the space, and they've moved on to their new profit margin darling in the form of Hyper. I think that Rival is a strictly better Nerf product than Hyper in that it actually flings foam, but this might be very well the last Rival Blaster, which is kind of heartbreaking. Certainly the end of a very fun era in terms of orbular design, but the Helix XXI-2000 is a 20 round capacity Rival CurveShot. That's the gimmick where instead of just tilting your blaster to get the hop-up tab to tilt, they want you to tilt the hop-up tab inside of the blaster, a la Luke and the Jupiter. This one's pretty fairly priced, in all honesty, if you consider it like a, shotgun primary class pump action blaster. Like, it's actually very fairly costed at $32 over at Target. You can pick it up on shelves or online. I'm gonna go ahead and get into it, but first I just want to point out that, all gimmick aside here, they're talking about how it's a hopper-fed Springer, which is a little unusual, a little cool. That's a fun blurb down there. And then also we have features including the 90 FPS velocity and easy load hopper fed. Easy load hopper fed, I guess. Seems like it should be hopper feed. Pump action, and then includes 20 rounds. So it comes with just enough rounds to load the blaster once, which is good because the Hyper rounds don't for some reason. I don't know. You'd think you'd want to put your best foot forward over in the marketing department, but if you're gonna kill a good thing, at least let it go out with a bang. So the jump cut there was to spare you guys from watching me struggle with this. The tissue paper that is eco-friendly to hold the rounds shredded itself because it was significantly weaker than the tape holding the tissue paper to the box. So no big deal. Let's go ahead and pop this open. It should be as simple as opening it like that. And then you have two channels down here. You guys should be able to see that theoretically should gravity feed these guys down. It actually looks like, you're Pinewood derbying your Hyper rounds into this this hopper, and it's a very intentional hopper, right? Like, it's very clear that this is designed to hold these rounds and guide them into Springer style chambers. Now the interesting thing is that is mine missing a Hyper or a Rival round? Yes, it is. That's upsetting. So the interesting thing is, if you look at this and you close it, you can very clearly see where a lot of that cost saving is coming to play. A lot of this is waffled open, but it's hexagons. And as we know, in the future, everything will be made of hexagons. So that's actually kind of cool. The line down here lets you see your ammo in real time, so you know how much you have. The plastic is actually quite thin, so in my studio lights, I can see all of the mechanisms through it, partially because it's like a very light orange, and partially because the shell is just very, very thin in this case. Now, it looks like it has room for significantly more Rival rounds. It looks like you could fit easily another 10, bring the entire capacity up to 30 if you wanted to in the back. Now, the pump grip is serious, like very, very chunky, almost like a spaz. And stiff prime, certainly trying to get that 90 FPS power. You can look up here and there's no way. I don't know what this is. Is this an indexing mechanism? Is it loading balls by indexing them through as you prime? It is. They pull one from each side as it primes through. So if you guys look at this right here, every prime loads 2 rounds, if possible, into a rotating wheel that's going to chamber them as it goes through. And I'm going to try not to generate a jam while I'm doing that, because I'm loading by manually articulating it. I don't think that this needs to be closed for it to fire, and in fact it does not. So that jam door is entirely just to get at that funky wheel system. A very new loading mechanism. You also have an incredibly chunky safety mechanism on the side, but incidentally it's not right-hand friendly. A right-hand friendly safety would be right here, and you'd flip it with your thumb. In this case, it's you could still do it if you're right-handed, but you're gonna tap up with your trigger finger to disengage the old safety mechanism. So we don't need it to be safe. We're gonna go ahead and fire, and it sounds exactly like any Rival blaster ever. Of course, you do have that gimmick up front, where if you want to curve this way, you can. And if you want to curve that way you can, I guess there's 4. You could curve down for whatever reason. You could curve left, right, or up. Now, of course, if you happen to know anything about what you're doing, and given that it's a Springer, that while it is hopper fed, is going to be consistent in its chambering because of the spinning wheel, you could always just curve, 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 which is a little funky, a little fresh. But then you've got a de-jamming mechanism down here where if your priming mechanism gets stuck, you could always flip that to disengage it from the sled so that you could fix it. The only question left to ask is, slam fire? Question mark. So we'll hold the trigger down. No slam fire. Which makes sense. They would have advertised it had there been some slam fire. And definitely a reliable Springer, certainly pretty chunky, easy to reload. You could see, even if you were to grab, like, say, a handful of rounds, like, yay, you could very easily open this up, just kind of slam them home, and they find their way down. So quick reloads, certainly easy to tell where your ammo is through the hexagons. Here, I think that this one's actually a pretty good swan song for the rival line overall. I mean, at $30, it's a primary class Springer. We need to go downstairs, of course, put it over the chronograph and make sure that it's getting expected results. All right, guys, so we're outside with the rival Helix here, and Miss Wet Paws in the deciduous rainforest that is Georgia climate. But I think we're gonna put this over the chronograph before the rain picks up too terribly bad. Hopefully none of these ricochets bounce back into us, as is their way. We'll try and angle it a little bit. I do want to point out that this is one of the blasters where the tilt actually increases the hop-up tab. The hop-up tab moving like that pushes it down further. So it does accentuate it more than just like the traditional tilting. If that's, so they're exacerbating the gimmick for the purpose of its efficacy, but I don't think that that's necessarily genuine. But I think that with the hop-up tab, you're gonna get better results just kind of using muscle memory. Anyway, we'll test the gimmick in a second. That's a 95, which actually is quite good for a rival Springer. There's a 97. Is it going to break 100? Duplicate 97, 93, 96. And I do want to applaud this this kind of pinwheel style chambering mechanism combined with the hopper makes this a very compelling rival entrant. I think that even without the goofy, you know, sort of twist on the rival ecosystem, so to speak, this would definitely be a compelling entrant into the category. So let's fire a few downrange. I probably need to add a little bit more tension to the zip target downrange, but we'll see what kind of damage we can do. We've got the zip target down there at about 40 feet. So hopefully we can float these in with predictable hop-up accuracy. Man, I hit the string that time, did you see? Sweet! It actually did. I hope the audience can see that Jinx was like, whoa, what was that? So we'll go ahead and we'll load up a couple more of these. I like that she returned to base. Like she's like, I'll get him, Dad. Yeah, go get him. All right, so we'll try at least a couple of these curve shots and see if we can't sneak one in. Or maybe it'll be all gutter balls. Jinx, good job. You did it, good job. Good job, good job. That was close. And with that, we have, wait, there's one left. All right, maybe. Okay, so the accuracy of the predictable hop-up leaves a little bit to be desired, at least at 40 feet. It would be much cooler to show you guys like at 20 feet, like thwap, 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 but I don't think that that's necessarily productive. I think it's much better for you guys to see a clear image of a target and how it misses at 40. It's relatively close, but this would not be my preferred outdoor battle blaster. Indoors, I think that it's great, and who knows, maybe with the old Rival tune-up and modification, we could take it up to 120 FPS, and that would become even more predictable. That's always a fun idea for a modification guide. I haven't had the opportunity or the time to do one of those in a little while, so if you're interested in something like that, leave me a kind comment down below. Let me know that's something that you might be into. In the meantime, that's my review of this blaster. I think that it's actually priced very fairly for what it is and what it does and how novel the hopper into the pinwheel system is, combined with pump action and Springer. Those are all like pretty good words to throw in at a $30-ish price tag, especially at a mass market retailer. So I think that this one's a home run. I think that if you haven't already bought into Rival, it might be a challenge to buy into Rival at this point, since it's so clear that it's not going to be continuing into the future, at least in the way that we hope it would. But I think that this one is a solid offering, and if you are already invested in Rival and do want a solid pump action Springer, this is maybe the best one that's been released since the Hades. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, much love. Blast on, Drac out.